So we have completed the topics on in IMIS, right, in the last class, and we have discussed the 10 different sources of information. Today, we will be focusing on IMR, which stands for International Marketing Research. Now, let's understand the meaning. It is a systematic design, collection, recording, analysis, interpretation, and reporting of information that is pertinent to the particular marketing decision facing a company operating internationally. So, here we are focusing on a marketing information. Basically, we are researching about it. What exactly does the process involve? Right? It's a systematic way. It's not collected randomly. It's not collected, as we please, but there is a system to it. There's an orderly collection of data. You record them, you analyze, you interpret the information, okay, and then you report it. Why do you report it? To make a decision, right? A marketing decision when a company is operating on a international level. Let's understand the process of IMR. So we have 9 different steps to achieve this research. Let's start with the first one. The first is formulating the marketing research problem. So everything starts with a problem, isn't it? An issue or a problem. Now, research always starts with the problem that management is facing, right? The problems can be a high labor turnover. Here, the example is given as the sales are decreasing every quarter, right? And the promotional activities are not connecting to the public or the society at large, etc. Because you have a problem and you identify a problem, right? So the moment you frame a problem or a question, that is when the international marketing research begins. I mean, the process begins. Now, since you have identified an issue or a problem, the next thing is this problem needs to be sorted out, right? You need to understand where is the problem arising from, right? What the cause has to be diagnosed. That means you need to get to the root level of the cause of the problem, diagnose it, and develop solutions to solve that particular problem or an issue. Example here they've given, sales are decreasing. So we try to analyze why are the sales decreasing, right? Is there are customers shifting to the competitor's product? What is it that the competitors are offering that we cannot? Is it the quality? Is it the pricing? Is it something? Is there some issue with our promotion strategies? So we need to look into those areas and find a solution to increase our sales. The second one is method of inquiry. So as we know, normal way of how we do research, right? So that scientific method is always becoming the standard pattern for investigation of marketing research. That is, you formulate a problem, you develop a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, that is the probability of a factor affecting your problem, right? And then you analyze those results that you have found out. Number 3 is research method. In addition to selecting a method of inquiry, okay, that can be subjective or it can be objective, the researcher has to select a research method. Now, what do you mean by subjective inquiry and objective inquiry? Now, objective inquiry refers to you are opinionating or you're giving your decision or a choice unbiased. Is that clear? So there is no prejudice or there is no favorism that is involved here. You're just looking at a situation, you're observing a situation, observing an issue, and you're giving your inputs based on that. Okay, so it is not induced by a person or influential. It is objective. Based on the situation and observation, you're giving input. Now, what is the other way around? Subjective inquiry. Subjective inquiry refers to biased decision. That means you, as a person, are putting yourself into the situation, okay, in order to please yourself, or in order to get out of the problem from a company's perspective, and you run the company. You try to be giving a subjective inquiry. Okay, now we have understood what is objective and subjective. Subjective is a biased opinion, objective is a unbiased opinion or an unbiased inquiry. Which one do you think is better? Of course, it has to be the objective, because you're not taking sides, right? You're not being partial. You're just analyzing the environment or a situation and then giving your inputs to it. So the third step is you need to decide upon the method. The fourth one is you need to make up a plan or a design. So the research design is a plan, or we can call it as a framework for which you need to conduct the study, right? Why are you conducting the study? Because you came up with the problem in the first case. Fifth one is data collection techniques. Now there are various ways how you can collect data. Majorly we can see it as let's say interview method and observation. When it is an interview, especially one-on-one, right, you're actually having a deep conversation or questioning the other person regarding the problem. Okay, because why? You need to receive the responses and also analyze them. Second, we can have as observation technique, where a person or a company's past or present behavior can produce future purchasing decisions, right? This actually works. You can actually observe how the market has behaved in the past, or how the person has made decisions in the past. You can observe them, whether it is positive or whether it is progressive or negative, or it's been challenging. Based on the observation, you can actually analyze or make interpretation for the upcoming purchasing decisions. So you can actually see on the picture where they have given certain other methods of data collection techniques. There are surveys. Have you seen the link that is provided to your mail, or people ask you to fill up little bit of survey where questions are asked and you're asked to take the right answer or your opinion as the answer. Then we have interviews, that is one-on-one. And then we have direct observation, that is what we just discussed. And then we have focus groups, that is people who are coming from a different industry or different backgrounds, coming and exploring or ice breaking session about the issue. And the fifth one, we have existing documents and records, that is meaning to say your documentary evidence. Based on the prior documentary evidence, you're trying to collect data. Sixth one, we have something called as sample design. So a marketing test here project will rarely examine the entire population, right? So what does it do? It collects sample. So it is more partial to use a sample, a smaller, but it must be accurate representation of the greater population. I want you to look at the picture that is on the screen. You see on the first line, that is the population, you have so many people, right? Let's say it is representing men and women, right? But when you're going to the down part, that is the sample, right? You have a representatives, okay? A small number compared to the population, but they are an accurate representation, because most often what happens is your population is too much for you to analyze. So what do you do in order to collect people's opinion in order for an interview or focus group? You choose a smaller sample that has to represent the entire population on larger. Number 7 or step 7 is data collection. Now you have known the data collection techniques, and now we're going to collect the data, right? So this process requires personnel, because people, it is human beings or personnel who needs to collect the information. Now this number of people required may depend upon what kind of data you're collecting. If it is a personal or telephonic interviews, right, then you might use a data collection agency, correct? Because you are interviewing people on telephone or you're interviewing people face to face, right? You need a larger number of people to do this get the job done. Or let's say another option, you're doing it through internet service, right? Where you have Google Forms, right? You type out your questionnaire, share the link, and ask people to fill in it. So then comparatively you need lesser labor force to complete the data collection. Then we have analysis and interpretation. Techniques of analysis now definitely will vary, and their effectiveness depends on the types of information that are collected and the types of measurements used. Right? So, thus far we had collected the information, and now we are going to analyze all the information put together that we have collected. Right? So, based on which technique you're going to analyze, right? We are also going to find out the effectiveness, right, based on the categories of information we have collected from the samples, right, and what test are we using to measure the same. So the last process in this IMR is marketing research reporting. So after you have collected the data, analyzed and interpreted it, you need to come up with a report to submit to the management. Now, what does this report include? They will include the information, right, which is giving not just a broad, sum up or a summary, right, but it gives accurate information. What is it that you have analyzed from the sample, right? Accurate description of the process, the results, the conclusion, and the recommended courses of action. So we started with the problem, right? We collected a sample, we collected information, analyzed them, interpreted them, and based on the report or based on the conclusion that we have got, we can also give some recommendations to the management. So once you submit this last one report, it is up to the management to give or to take up the decisions which would solve or provide a solution to the problem it was being faced by. So these are the 9 different steps that consist for international marketing research. Formulating marketing research problem, method of inquiry, right, that can be subjective or objective, research methodology, then we have research design, then we have data collection techniques, that is personal interview, observation, focus groups, etc. Then we have sample design, data collection, right, analysis and interpretation, and finally marketing research reporting. So with this topic, we complete the 4th unit under international business. So from next class, we'll begin with the 5th unit called as exempt trade.